Hey everybody, it's all about cold today. Weather is getting cold, and I just got a little time till sunset. And boy, I thought I was going to go to a Domer Park. I thought they might have a shelter from the Northwest, and I thought, hey, I want to go downtown. And they'll have the carols playing on the speakers, and that'll be nice. And but the wind shifted or something, so I was all set up over there and under a speaker with Christmas carols and. Oh, the wind was just coming from the north, so it's really hitting the camera hard. So now I'm facing northwest, so hopefully, this is a little side street. I don't know what street this actually is. It's Main Street. So Main Street actually isn't the Main Street in Eau Claire. It's a little misnomer. So the Main Street is probably Barstow, right? And that's Barstow right behind me. This car was he must be. Someone needs a muffler. I think, it's the Harley of autos. Is that a Hummer? Is that what that was? Anyway, so a little city sidewalks, summer sidewalks, dressed in holiday style. In the air, there's a feeling of Christmas. See the street lights, hear the kids light. I forget all the words. So I don't want to linger here too long because it's cold. I got my G-Power, it's my warmest coat that I have. Thanks Miriam and Steve for giving this to me about 20 years ago when I went to Lambeau Field. So my brother still goes regularly. I haven't been in a while because they usually play on Sunday. Maybe they'll get into the playoffs or something and I can get lucky. And there's that car again. He must just be going back and forth, treating everybody to a lot of noise. Hopefully he or she will find a parking spot soon. So I got some Parish news. I got some other things. I had a nice... So Bishop Battersby was up in Eau Claire today. He was in Eau Claire last Friday for Catholic Charities fundraiser at Florian Gardens. He was here Sunday. He had Mass at Immaculate Conception Church in town. And he came back today to have... so we're trying to have a renewal in the diocese. And it's like renewal, the bishop and his priests. And then it's that same car. It's the bishop and his priest. Hope it's not a parishioner. I mean, it can be, but I've sort of been insulting it, so I don't mean to insult anybody. Isn't it funny? It's gone by like 5 times, making a lot of noise. Then phase 2, I think, is the bishop and the people. And then phase 3 is the pastor and his people. So I hope I'm around to celebrate phase 3 with everybody. Sounds like a good time. But anyway, so he gave a lovely talk. It's just like, come on over, have a nice meal. We had pork chops with not just applesauce, but it was like applesauce, but with big chunks of apple. I think it was pear. There was a debate at the table. I think Father Dine thought it was apples, and I thought it was pear. But he's higher ranking, so it was probably apples. And what else? We had a couple baby red potatoes, some orange and yellow carrots, and then some like cream pastry layer cake for dessert. So I was with Father Kyle Leland. He's just a real bright light in our parish. He's fairly recently ordained. He's the pastor in Arcadia. Father Emmanuel, and he's pastor in Durand, Mondovi. There's 3 of them. Lima, and and then Father, there are 8 of us. Where's my memory? Father Dine, Father Leland, Father Emmanuel, Father Jojo. I forget where he was stationed. He's from the Philippines. Another man from India, and I'm sorry, but I couldn't remember his name. And then, anyway, so nice group. There are about 40 of us there today. And the bishop, he called on us to remember the fervor we had for ministry and our hopes and dreams when we were ordained. I think the word is that priest, maybe morale was kind of low in the diocese. And so he's really tried to, not just like give them a free meal, they'll be happy, but to appeal to our better selves and our deepest motivations, why we're priests, and And it could be for a marriage too. You think about, why did we get married and the vows we made, and remember the early days, remember our earlier passions. I think St. Paul talks about that when he's writing to the Christians that have grown a little, lax in their excitement about being Christian. He said, remember the fervor of your first love. Of course, everything has its seasons, right? So married people talk about, you're infatuated in the beginning, and then you settle into a deeper love that isn't as exciting, isn't as thrilling, but you're just very at home with one another, and that's a beautiful progression that can happen, and you're blessed if it does, right? But anyway, so it was good, but I enjoyed the conversation at the table too. So Father Emmanuel's from Ghana, and I said he was impressed that I knew the capital of Ghana, so all that geography paid off, Accra, and we talked a little bit about this and that, and I asked him about how it was going in Ghana, and he said, we're talking about world politics a little bit, and he said China. He said China is just everywhere. I think Father Jojo mentioned it, that China is starting to make life difficult in the Philippines with encroaching on territory. And Father Dine had been to the naval base in the Philippines when he was in the Navy, so I brought that all up. And anyway, so China comes to Ghana with their excavators, their big land-ripping, digging machines to get gold. And I said, tough on the land. He goes, it's terrible on the land. They're just exploiting the land, and grossly so, and destroying safe drinking water, because the process of ripping the gold out of and refining it is just kind of ruining the whole ecosystem there. So that was hard to hear. That was sad. You don't hear that in the news. And then I asked Father Kyle, I said, you're Arcadia, so you have a lot of immigrants in Arcadia. So what's the mood there? Are people anxious? And he said, yeah, they're anxious, and there's like an alert system if ICE, immigrant control enforcement, I forget what it's ICE, but they will come and they will do raids on workplaces, and if people are there illegally, undocumented, they'll take them and maybe send them back to their country of origin. And he said, yeah, so if I said, well, how do people know? I said, when ICE comes, he said, when ICE comes, the factories are empty, like Ashley Furniture and stuff is down there. And he said, the factories just are empty. And I said, well, how do they know? I said, well, if anyone sees the big black SUVs coming into town, they just, word gets out real quick, and people move. And so he said maybe there's a sense of safety because it's Arcadia. They're not really going to go after, they might be more prone to be active in the bigger cities like Chicago, Milwaukee, Twin Cities. But he also said that a lot of people are saying, well, if they catch us, the worst, we'll just have to be sent home. So it's like, well, it's not like they go to jail. It's not like they get, punished or they sent home. The problem is when they get separated from their families, right? That's the heartache. So people, he said, yeah, people are on edge, but people are kind of rolling with it. There's a sense of community and looking out for one another. But I guess seeming to, so anxious, yes, desperate and panicky, no, was the sense that I heard from him, if I interpreted him correctly. Don't quote me on it, but he's just a really great pastor. I was glad to connect with him a little again today. So I got Parish. While we're talking about kind of global realities, so Syria, such big news, right? They had this, and it actually seems kind of like good news, right? It's more instability in the Middle East, but that Assad was a terror, just millions and millions of people killed and displaced, and now he's been overthrown. So on the surface, that's a pretty good thing. I see what happens in the aftermath. I saw an interview with the Archbishop of Homs today. So there's a Christian presence in Syria. It's not as great as in Lebanon, but there's a Christian presence there. And he said, if I can quote him, he said, we're beginning to smell the scent of freedom in Syria. So there's kind of an excitement. There's liberation. People, and he said the 8,000 people that were the rebels that were overtook and overthrew the government. I don't know where 8,000 came from, but he said they're not ISIS. They're not the hardcore Islamist terrorists or anything. But they're the 800 displaced people that have been displaced for 12 years, ever since the repressive violence of Assad when there was this kind of, remember there was this, was it 2012, I guess it was 12 years ago, there was this uprising, kind of the Arab Spring. I went to Egypt with a group during that time. It was pretty interesting. It looked like, well, who's going to win? We don't know. And then all of a sudden, Russia showed up with all their planes and bombs and just swayed it for Assad to stay in power. But during that time, so a lot of refugees were generated, and they've been living in tents for 12 years, and now they can go home and have homes again. And he said that the leaders are saying, this archbishop met with the people that'll be in authority now, and he said that we're all part of the same people. We're all Syrian, and he guaranteed, the archbishop, or they did, freedom of worship. So it's not like they're trying to make everybody adhere to Islam, So it doesn't seem to be of that ilk. So it could be just to me, I don't know. It seems like it could be a really, really good thing. Assad isn't maybe someone we know so much, but I mean, when Saddam Hussein was like, he was just painted like the devil, and I'm sure he did a lot of awful things too. But we had U.S. economic interests then, and he had oil and and he was seizing oil fields, and so apparently we don't have a strong economic interest in Syria, so you didn't hear a lot of demonization of Assad, but I heard a lot of people, a very repressive ruler. So we pray for them, that this transition of power, that peacemakers, and that's this rhetoric of inclusiveness. That's why freedom of religion is so important. And sometimes we get, I don't know, some people want to make like the U.S. like a Christian nation or something like that, and we're kind of founded on like freedom of religion, so we can all exist in peace today. So, and when someone's trying to force you to be Muslim, you want freedom of religion. You want to be able to stay Christian, right? So even the same holds when it's the other way around, I think. But so it's really, really worth our prayers, and so that's great. There's a lot of wariness, but hopefulness, it sounded like. So that was good. Parish news coming up, but let's talk about the Pope. Hey, before my next chat, the Pope will have a birthday. Pope on December, I think next Tuesday. Some guy was walking in with a big boom back on his back where I first set up. There's a lot of a lot of obscenity stuff coming out of the song. So I was glad I wasn't set up for that. Hate to start the chat over because of that. So he's going to turn 88 on Tuesday. So he's in the wheelchair a lot, but he sure seems sharp and his mind is good. And people were kind of bummed that some people were like criticizing him for not going to the opening of Notre Dame Cathedral when it reopened last weekend. I don't think he ever addressed it directly, but other people said, he doesn't want to be. If he was there, he had to be in the spotlight. He said, just let the Archbishop of Paris have the center role, and Pope Francis is more about going to the peripheries, to go to he's going to Corsica, I think, this week or next week. And that's in France, so he's not like dissing France. And I just didn't kind of need to be in the center and to be part of all that, which I thought was a good answer. He got a lot of heat in the last couple of weeks. So there's a big Christmas tree. There's like Christmas tree comes to the White House, and that's a big deal. Where does it come from? And well, in the Vatican, there's one too, and I forget if it's some farm in Italy, but a big Christmas tree. And then he got a lot of heat because you shouldn't, from environmentalists of all people, which great, they're caring for the earth, which I hope we all have a level of being environmentalists in us. So I don't mean to say that like bad people, those environmentalists, but they got on the Pope for having a real Christmas tree because he was cutting down a living tree, and they said it was like 250 years old tree or something. Anyway, and I heard a little discussion about that, and the facts were it was only like a 60-year-old tree, and it was from a farm that does sustainable farming, so they replenish what they cut and all this. So it sounded like a pretty good idea. Plus, you buy a plastic tree, then what's that all about? That's tough because then the plastic lasts forever. So anyway, she took heat about the tree. Hopefully people let up on that now. And he also took some heat about, this is more political, so he met with a delegation from Palestinian delegation, and they brought to him a beautiful, we have our Bethlehem goods still for sale this weekend. I didn't bring any sample wares with me for this chat, but they have these as tall, I'm on my knees right now, so about as tall as I am. They have the olive wood carvings of Joseph and Mary and Jesus, and then a nice platform that goes up, and it's all carved by artisans in Bethlehem. Okay, so then he met with his delegation from Bethlehem in the West Bank, and I don't know if they snuck it in or something, but when they first saw it, it was just the olive wood figures and Jesus in a wooden crib, and then they put a keffiyeh. You know what a keffiyeh? You ever see like the men wear a headdress, you know, to kind of keep cool in the summer and things. But there's a distinctive Palestinian keffiyeh. It's black and white, and anyway, they put that as the swaddling clothes or the in the crib, and then put the Jesus on the black and white keffiyeh with that design. And so it upset people that didn't want to see the Pope take a political stand on the conflict between Israel and Palestine. And so a lot of people for Israel said, well, you know, what about the Israeli hostages? What about the Israelis who are killed? Because the Vatican said it's not a political statement that we're trying to make, but it's solidarity with the victims of war and all the innocent children. And every day you open the news and there's children who died by bombs, right, in Gaza. And so, you know, when I first saw that, I thought, I liked it. You know, I thought, yeah, there's solidarity with, you know, there's nativity sets in Bethlehem where, in churches there, where the crib is set amid like bricks laid on top of one another, like destroyed in a bomb, and there's the Christ child. You know, it's very meaningful. It's very poignant, I think. And so it wasn't that in the Vatican, but it was that cloth that reminded people of Palestine. And they just said solidarity with victims of war. It's not meant to be a political statement, which I like. But then they said, well, what about solidarity with all these other folks? So it's tough. Bottom line, it's tough being Pope. So it was kind of interesting, right? So I don't know. I didn't hear that they removed it. I don't know what the situation is with that. But so interesting things in the Vatican, right? Where are we at? 17 minutes. I should probably get to Parish news, because you're like, hey, we didn't tune in for all this chatter. We turned in for Parish news. Let's see, Ghana, Kyle, Bishop. We had a middle school retreat last week. The Spiritus group from Menasha came over, and they did a great job. We talked to some of the young adults who give a year or more of their lives to travel around to parishes and offer retreats to youth. And they were here for a one-night retreat. I think it went very well. Thanks to Kelly and Beth for setting that up, and all volunteers who helped. Religious Ed is tonight and the 18th, and then they'll take a little Christmas break. Let's see, we got our big one more tomorrow night. There'll be a communal reconciliation service on Thursday the 14th, La Festa de la Señora de Guadalupe, and that'll be at St. Olaf's at 7. We had ours last week. It wasn't real well attended, and some of the priests I thought would come didn't come, but we did well. So it was last Thursday, and then there'll be one the following Thursday at Sacred Heart Church. But that last Thursday, so the 19th of December, I really encourage you to go to Word and Music for Days of Holy Darkness, our night of sacred reading, poetry, some scripture, essay, and then silence, and then a song, and then a reading and silence and a song for about an hour. It's just a beautiful night of reflection, especially if you've never been part of it. I'll see about if I can get a streamer to come, but it's one of my favorite things that we do all year. So I hope it's comes off well. That'll be not tomorrow, but the week after. Getting close to Christmas. We're not so far from the Sojourner House, the homeless shelter. We have 5 teams that serve. On Friday, I'm going to have lunch with the new director, Lucas. So I hope that goes well. And I don't know why I wouldn't. It's just a social thing. But if you ever do feel the call, like, I'd like to volunteer. I hear the gospel call to be with the poorest of the poor and those who don't have homes, especially in the winter months. We have 4 teams, and I think they serve once a month and various evenings of the week. And 4 teams have definite room, and I would love to have you help them out. See, there's room for that. How about poinsettias? You want to donate a poinsettia in honor of someone in your life who died, or just buy a poinsettia? It's by free will donation, and you can do it up until the 22nd of December. I guess there were cards to fill out near the entrances. You can go on the website, click the donations box, and it'll take you to a link to donate for poinsettias, or call the office. All right, or you just put it in an envelope, like for a poinsettia for somebody. Put it in an envelope, stick it in our donation boxes. Yeah, hopefully people know too. So we're not taking collections during Mass. It seems to work pretty well. Streamlines Mass a little bit. It was harder and harder to get volunteers to take money to the bank on Mondays, and so it simplifies things a lot. And I don't think it's hurt our collections because people have been really good about online donations and mailing it in. And there's a box where you can take your children. That was one of the downsides. If the children don't see they were given money at Mass, how will they know that they need to support the parish? You can take your children over to those collection boxes at the end of the pews and back, or near the entrances at the two side entrances, and just kind of slip your cash or envelope or check in those boxes. In those boxes, you can put a little envelope that says, for flowers, Christmas flowers for Jill Hansen. Okay, Italian dinner's coming up, just a FYI. So we got to start filling that roster too. It's going to be January 11th, which seems far away, but once Christmas happens, boom, 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 it's January 11th. Give me $25 a plate. She's thinking chicken piccata, but I'm not going to commit her to that right now. She wants to do something a little bit different maybe. Holy Land sale continues. Bake sale this weekend, PCCW. Poinsettias, besides the ones that you can buy for Christmas Masses, the PCCW worked real hard delivering poinsettias to our senior members and homebound people this past Saturday. So thank you to them for that great service. I know people love the flowers. Trivia night is this Saturday already, and we have no idea how many people are going to come. She said she's got lots of good prizes. I got a team of 4, which is great, and she said I think a lot of people aren't like registering, but they're just going to come. So we're hoping that's true. The more the merrier. So give it a thought. You don't have to be like a Jeopardy quality human being like myself. I'm just kidding. So in high school I was good at that. Anyway, you don't have to be a know-it-all to have a good time at trivia night. So it'd be after Mass on Saturday. Okay, so that'll be good. What else? Catholic Charities. I got a little bit Wednesday the 18th at 2 o'clock will be the school program. You want to see our school Christmas program, the beautiful voices of our children. Heather Mesikowski's been working hard with them, and all the classroom teachers have been working hard getting them ready for that. New Year's Eve, these are just kind of quick things to get in your back of mind. So New Year's Eve, we'll have the one Mass, 5:30, potluck afterwards. So not a Mass on January 1st itself. We got a refugee family coming. I shouldn't be so happy, but it is a happy occasion because they left awful things and they found a placement and they'll be coming. And we have a team to be ready to welcome them and support them in their transition to Eau Claire. So this family, we had one kind of set up that fell through 2 weeks ago, and it was going to be from Burma. And this family or people, I don't have a lot of details right now, but are from Venezuela. So Venezuela, there have been in recent years 8 million people left the country. And I tried to do a little quick Googling. I'll try to look a little more, but basically, if you live in Venezuela, it's incredibly gang-ridden and a lot of political violence, and you can live in a neighborhood where you got to join a gang or you're threatened at the cost of your life, and trying to raise children in the midst of that. So one website I said, rampant violence, inflation, food shortage, medicine shortage of essential services. For some people, the only option to avoid gang violence was to leave their home. So that's why the migration out. And again, these refugees are not, they're heavily vetted. So it's not just people that are like, we got to go, we're like immigrants, and we'll pay whatever we have to do to get out. It's people that enter the system and they officially become designated a refugee, and it's not easy to get that status, and they're heavily, so the fears that some people have that people from other countries will wreak great problems here are particularly unfounded when it comes to refugees. So anyway, so that's good. So we're glad. I'll have more on that as that develops, but we're glad that we're able to get a refugee from this agency to welcome before January 20th, because there's word that they won't allow any more refugees in after that point. So, deadline to be included. Did I get? I was going to talk a little bit. I don't think I. Well, we got this pilgrimage. Hope. my tree is dying. I talk about the Pope's Christmas tree. I think I'll talk about the Jubilee year next time. But there's basically a Jubilee year coming up. It's going to start on December 24th. And it's called Pilgrims of Hope. So, and we have a couple of big events planned in the diocese for that. So hope will be the theme. It's every 25 years, except if there's an extraordinary Jubilee year, which there was since my time at St. James. 2016 was the year of mercy. And so it's usually 2000, 2025, 2050, there'll be another one. And they stuck one in on the year of mercy, which was good. So I think maybe that's what I'll do for today. My tree is dying. I have this tree I've had for 17 years. It's a Jerusalem pine. The seed comes from the Holy Land. And now when I walk by and I run into the branch, all the needles fall off. So there's a little part of it still alive. So I think in the spring, if not before, I'm going to have to cut off most of the branches and then hope that a shoot will shoot from the stump of Jesse and new life can come to that tree. It's been with me 17 years, 18 years now. So, okay. I think, I want to show you this. You're thinking, finally he's over, and then he says something else. Isn't this nice? So this is, can you tell what it is? There's a donkey. There's Mary, Angel, Joseph. By the way, the movie on Mary last week, I enjoyed watching it. It was Parish movie night, but it wasn't great. I think most people left like, could have been better. It wasn't that inspiring. Pretty violent at points. Joseph was more of a swashbuckler than a carpenter. But I mentioned at our Mass for the Immaculate Conception, I liked Mary's response. In the movie, she didn't say, "Let it be done to me according to your word." She said, "Let it be me. Let it be me." She just had this sense of call that someone had to be the mother of God, had a real special thing that was going to be asked of her. And she said, "Let it be me." I thought that was fantastic. So, this is them traveling to Bethlehem, right? You can see she's pregnant, and they're on the donkey. You can see the anxiety, and Joseph's really caring for her. You can see the angel. I like that the angel didn't just tell her she's got to have the Son of God disappear, but the angel's there helping her out. And then if that face looks familiar to you, but the artist chose to put the face from the tilma of Our Lady of Guadalupe on her face right here. It's the same. So a lot of our school classrooms have pictures of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And so I'll take it off the wall, and then I'll sit it next to this, and I go, "You notice that Mary looks the same?" So that's pretty cool. And that's tomorrow's feast, La Festa. I think I've heard that La Festa, either the La Virgen, the Virgin de Guadalupe, or La Señora, Lady of Guadalupe. So we hope everyone has a good experience of that, especially our friends and neighbors from Mexico, or the people from Mexico that are around us, and doing all kinds of good work that we need and appreciate, and to whom faith is a very important part of their lives, right? Okay, I'm gonna never walk again on my knees for 28 minutes. I couldn't, if I wasn't talking, I could never do that. Like if it was a discipline, if I was talking in class and had to kneel down, I don't think I'd last 2 minutes. See, if we have a real purpose, we can bear a lot of adversity, right? So may you have purpose, may you have love, may you thirst and yearn for more of Jesus in our world, and know that he thirsts and yearns for you this Advent season, right? God bless you.